All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. Good to see y'all here. We are live on YouTube and Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Please come join me on Rockfin. With all the other rock lobsters, as Osama likes to call it. Early chatters are in. Good to see you guys here. I don't know of a way to get the early chatter thing going on Rockfin. I wish I could. But we got a couple people watching on Rockfin. Come say hello. If you can, if you will, if you would, if you could. But what's up, y'all? Sandy, what's going on? Raza, J.A. Moniker, Clay Bomb. Clay Bomb has a doomer joke. What did the doomer bread say to the other bread? You're toast. William Moy, Nazmanabs, OWASF, Lightning Rod, Judy Truitt, Poppy Davis. Good to see y'all here. Urban Hermit, Jacob Gordon, and Poppy Davis are over on Rockfin hanging out with me. Hi, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Okay. So there's, again, as always, as usual, as typical, too much to talk about and probably too little time. And this always happens. I kind of line everything up that I want to talk about, and then somebody will tweet at me, or somebody will send me something that's kind of juicy, like right before the show. So I'm like, oh crap, how am I gonna shoehorn that one in? Let's see. Let's make sure you guys are seeing this. Okie dokie. Anyways, TCR, intrepid journalist, longtime viewer of the show, tweeted this at me. Wouldn't want to frighten the children, and by children I mean privileged adults. Thanks for the quote. This is from Ben C. Let's look at this thread. The Arctic is experiencing. Oh, it's New Year's Eve, by the way. Happy New Year's Eve to y'all. The Arctic is experiencing an abrupt climate change event and will completely lose summer sea ice by 2035. Give or take 14 years. So good one on Ben C. Yeah. Don't let the 14 years lull you into thinking we have any time at all really to deal with this or to prepare ourselves for it or whatever it is. But editors aren't allowing journalists to report that scientists say this will have profound consequences for all of life on Earth. Happy new planet? Right. And I've been talking about this. The editors, he says the editors, quote unquote, we'll put that in quotes. The editors, the owners, the higher ups, the intelligence agencies, whoever you want to call it, whoever's running the show or calling the shots at most mainstream organizations, they are all, if not part of, they are beholden to the owner class. And yeah, so that's why they don't want you to know how bad things are. Because, first of all, we could probably say that they want to keep the system going for as long as possible in order to maximize their profits and to line their bunkers with more canned goods. And the other reason, I don't know. The other, there are other reasons, and I think some people have lots of ideas about why they wouldn't want to tell us what's going on. That maybe, I don't know. This is purely just my own conjecture. So, maybe this is all kind of like part of the plan or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they would do this. Why you would let the planet go to crap on purpose. Is that just how humans operate and how civilizations operate? Civilizations always end. And they always end in deep denial of the fact that they're ending. So maybe we'll just chalk it up to that's how it goes. Or is it something more nefarious and organized? I'll let you all ponder that one. Or, give me your thoughts in the chats about what you think could be a possible reason that they wouldn't want to let the public know we're in deep doo-doo. They wouldn't want to let the public know we're in deep doo-doo. Pardon me. Not like COVID, right? We shut the entire planet down due to COVID. So that was okay to let everybody know we're in deep doo-doo according to COVID or according to coronavirus. But climate change, no. Anyways, he goes on. The Arctic is currently experiencing an abrupt climate change event. Climate models underestimate this ongoing warming. Right. Climate models underestimate this ongoing warming. It's been happening. It's so far looks like it's just going to continue happening. We'll see how it goes. Industrial capitalism looks set to leave us with a half-dead planet if emissions don't peak and then fall by 2022. That's pretty soon. That's like, just over a year from now. So, and that's don't peak. So let me just dissect this a little bit. Don't peak and then fall by 2022. So we gotta yank really hard on that steering wheel, like real hard. We gotta everything in an opposite direction from the iceberg that we're about to hit. What the newspapers aren't screaming about is Arctic sea ice disappearing for the first time by 2028, triggering a sudden destabilization of the planet's climate and a rapid acceleration of global warming, resulting in catastrophically hostile new conditions for most life on Earth. And let me just say also to that it's an ongoing process, right? We're not going from 1 year of having a lot of ice cover and then the next year we're not having any ice cover. Every single year we lose more and more ice. So every single year, even though we have minimal ice in the summer, we still have a lot of blue ocean, right? So it's every single year we're just getting more blue ocean. We have a blue ocean event every single year. Every single year we have more blue ocean and less ice until we get to the point where we have mostly blue ocean and very little ice. So, I mean, the idea that we're going to suddenly trigger when the ice disappears. No, we've already triggered. The trigger has already been pulled. The trigger is already shot. The trigger has already gone off. The bullet is out of the gun. The bullet is heading for us. That trigger done been triggered. There was minimal media coverage of this paper, which you can read here. The Arctic is currently experiencing an abrupt climate change event, and climate models underestimate this ongoing warming, argues a perspective article published in Nature Climate. Did we miss this article too? But, here you go. Here's your friendly climate change graph. This is climate always changing over thousands of years. And here is today. Doop. So, even a child, even a small child can look at this and go, anyways. Yeah, you're not going to get real climate change news in a mainstream media ecosystem. That's why independent media is so dang important. That's why independent channels covering climate change are so dang important. And that's why we appreciate you all for supporting independent climate change news. Oceanic Estate, COVID is a bioweapon. Interglacial optimists, are Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi actually zombies? Good question. Oh, there are more zombies occupying the halls of Congress than just them. They're just the head zombies. Cindy Seeley says the horses are out of the barn. Indeed. Let's move on. Again, from TCR Galaxy. Monster Pacific storm leaves 2020 in its wake. The National Weather Service is predicting 4 to 8 inches of rain from the coast of Northern California into Washington State over the next 7 days. So big storm heading, bomb cyclone, not just a storm, a bomb cyclone. A few descriptors that people did not hear until 3 or 4 years ago, and that was bomb cyclones. 3, 4, 5 years ago, bomb cyclones, polar vortexes was a rare kind of descriptor. Also, atmospheric rivers. But these are all things that have become just almost normal to hear in weather forecasts as climate change becomes the new normal. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this article. Bomb cyclone in northern Pacific Ocean breaks all-time records. This is from today. Hold on. Let's see. I can do this. I can fix this. We're going to get this article. Hopefully. Oh, no, we're not going to get this article. Hold on. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Stop it. All right, sorry. Yeah. I was just trying to get to this, guys. Don't make it difficult. No? Here we go. All right. Hopefully we can get this now. Bomb cyclone in northern Pacific Ocean breaks all-time records. This is from today. A powerhouse storm explosively intensifying in the northern Pacific could rank as the strongest non-tropical cyclone observed in that ocean basin. Could rank as the strongest non-tropical cyclone observed in that ocean basin. The storm's pressure has already dropped to 921 millibars on New Year's Eve, which is even lower than the extreme cyclones that formed in the same vicinity in 2014 and 2015. Thank you, climate change. It now qualifies as the strongest storm on record to hit Alaska, according to Rick Toman, a climate scientist at the University of Alaska at Fairbanks. The lower the pressure, generally, the stronger the storm. There was something in here about hold on, I'm just trying to The 2020 Pacific bomb cyclone and its ultra-low pressure represent an amazing contrast from an exceptional high-pressure zone over Mongolia, which may have set a world record on Tuesday. Just breaking records. That's what happens when you follow climate change. You just break some records. Hold on, guys. At 7 a.m. local time on Tuesday, the mean sea level pressure at Tetsin Ul, Mongolia, rose to 1,094.3 millibars. Wow. About 174 millibars higher than the projected pressure in the Pacific Ocean. Linked headline, a frigid air mass in Mongolia may have just crushed a world record for surface air pressure. And yeah. First evers, worst evers, most evers, faster than expected. Just another day of climate change in a world that wants to ignore climate change. All right. Let's get into something else. I forgot who sent me this, but this is a little video about the first Arctic methane seep. But this is, you know, you might go, whoa, crazy, whoa. This might seem like breaking news, but it's actually, this methane seep has been known about and studied since 2011. So it's not really, you know, it's not like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's just been happening. And but you could say, oh my gosh, hold on one second. Let me find the place where I want to go.
Remarkable discovery wasn't that small patch that you just saw, but instead we found an expansive methane seep on a completely different scale than we were expecting. This is a feature that essentially spread out in a line 210 feet or 70 meters along the seafloor. There was bright red sea stars known as Odentaster surrounding the system, but this is a system that allows us to really start to understand Antarctica's methane cycle, and especially considering how much climate change is going to impact the Antarctic continent, allow us to understand how quickly it's going to be able to respond. Now, what we found was that it's actually responding very slowly. Now, already we know these microbes grow very slowly, and it doesn't only happen in cold places, but even in warm places, it takes a long time for them to grow. And we were able to sample this methane seep the first year after it started to form. Now that's really important because not only had people never found a methane seep before in Antarctica, they've also never found methane seeps when we know exactly when it started. We know this methane seep turned on in 2011, and we're able to sample it 1 year and 5 years after it formed. What we learned from that is that it's taken a long time for the microbes that normally are responsible for consuming or eating 90% of the methane that leaks out of these vast reservoirs. And instead, it's even after 5 years, methane is still leaking out. In fact, after the first...
All right. I'm going to stop it there. So this has been actually an active seep for quite a while. And he's saying that the organisms that would generally break down the methane or eat the methane before it got to the surface took a long time to develop. And so... And the ones that did show up were the wrong ones. So not only is this an active methane seep, but little is being done to break down the methane before it reaches the atmosphere. So that means this methane is just reaching the atmosphere. You know, it's interesting. So yeah, this should be alarming, but then It's just something that's been going on. It's been something that's been going on for a while and been known about. The way in which the narrator, I'm assuming it's one of the scientists that's working on the study of the methane seep, the way in which he's just like, this is just really interesting. And we're going to be able to figure out how this affects, climate change going forward. I mean, like, where this is going. It's all bad. And I'm glad you find it interesting on a scientific level, but where this is going. It's all bad. And on top of that, it's mostly certain doom for, mostly certain doom for the planet, right? So it's just so interesting that we are, we're studying this seep that is eventually going to lead to the destruction of the whole planet. And golly gee, can't wait to get back and study these findings some more. I mean, golly. You'd think that the tone might be just a little bit different, or just the upshot might be taken into account. No, not really. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to, excuse me. Just trying to get through as many items as I can. This is from Science Alert from December 23rd. A fatal skin disease afflicting dolphins worldwide has been linked to climate change. Oh, what do you know? They're among the most popular and captivating animals in the ocean. A creature that delights at every splash or glimpse, and many are dying. A deadly skin condition first noted in dolphins near New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina in 2005 has now been formally identified by scientists. A deadly skin condition on a dolphin in the Gulf of Mexico. That's not weird at all. Freshwater skin disease, as researchers define the pathology in a new study, has afflicted coastal cetaceans in numerous parts of the world, producing severe lesions that can cover most of the animal's body. The exact cause of this mysterious disease has never been known, but now, thanks to new research, we have a grim explanation: environmental changes in the dolphin's marine habitat that are linked to climate change. This devastating skin disease has been killing dolphins since Hurricane Katrina, and we're pleased to finally define the problem. Well, says Chief Pathologist Padraig Doignan, or Dunan, I don't know, from the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito, California, with a record hurricane season in the Gulf of Mexico this year and more intense storm systems worldwide due to climate change. We can absolutely expect to see more of these devastating outbreaks killing dolphins. While the signature lesions of freshwater skin disease were first observed in the U.S., it was their manifestation in animals on the other side of the world that gave Doignan and his team a crucial lead in their investigation. 2 dolphin mortality events in Australia produced evidence of the same affliction. Dolphin mortalities in Australia. Go figure. One affecting the Barunan dolphins in the Gippsland Lakes of Victoria in 2007, and the other in 2009 among Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins in the Swan Canning River system in Western Australia. While these events are historical, they enabled us to conduct post-mortems on the dolphin carcasses to identify the cause of death, characterize the severe lesions typical of the disease, and to see if there was a correlation between these events and others around the world. According to the analysis, there is indeed a correlation across the global instances of this condition. Freshwater skin disease outbreaks appear to follow in the wake of severe storms such as hurricanes and cyclones, in which a massive volume of freshwater rain falls onto land, with subsequent runoff finding its way into rivers and coastal waters. The danger of such sudden deluge events is that they rapidly diminish the salinity of the saltwater that coastal dolphins live in, producing hyposaline conditions that can persist for weeks or months, as environmental monitoring data from the Australian sites show. Dolphins can tolerate hyposaline conditions, but only for a short while, with prolonged exposure to freshwater resulting in a range of changes to the animal's skin and blood chemistry. The lesions are equivalent to third-degree burns in humans, a horrific injury that can very rapidly result in death. Incredibly horrific. It kills them because it causes electrolyte disruption in their bloodstream, and they ultimately end up with organ failure. We have to tackle the wicked problem of climate change, which is multifaceted, and we also have to alleviate other threats to dolphins, because how many more wake-up calls do we need before it's too late? Before it's too late. How late is too late? And are we already there? Jacob Gordon says, just when you thought there could not be any more reasons to hate industrialized humanity. Indeed. Let's move on. How late is it? So I came across a really good video from Michael Dowd called Irreversible Collapse, Accepting Reality and Avoiding Evil. Oh my. We're getting a serious wind situation going on. Exciting. Super exciting for my dog. Anyways, this is a good video from Michael Dowd from December 29th, 2020. It's long. It's an hour and 6 minutes long. But I just kind of wanted to focus on a part of this video.
Decline,
hold on
uncertainties.
1 second. And hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. I think I've got it all the way up so you guys can hear this. But let's look at this.
I want to conclude with just a short section. It's not too late. Taking responsibility for our legacy. So, first thing is, it is too late for some things. It's too late to turn it around. It's too late to save Homo colossus. Homo colossus is where each of us uses 40 to 60 times the resources and exudes 40 to 60 times the waste of Homo sapiens. It's too late to win the blame game. I mean, you could still play the blame game, but it's kind of like masturbation. It feels good, but ultimately you're just screwing yourself. It's too late to transform the system. It's too late to reverse climate change. It's too late to avoid reaping what we've sown. It's too late to slow or stop the sixth great mass extinction.
Hold on 1 second.
It's too late to avoid a population bottleneck, that is die-off, due to overshoot. It's too late to prevent a blue ocean event and massive release of methane, the conflagration of forests, ocean acidification, and so on. And it's too late to spare us from the consequences of millennia, not just hundreds of years, but thousands of years of anthropocentrism, human-centeredness, rather than life-centeredness. It's not.
Okay, so I just wanted to stop it right there. So I really like this video. Listen, we all have different ideas about what we should do in the face of climate change. You know, nobody is going to align with every single viewpoint about like what we can do, what we should be trying to do, what we should be accepting and what we should be rejecting. What's the proper path forward? Like you know, I have my own views on that, and they're not going to line up with everybody else's views. But I really like this video because it's, you know, for the most part in line with the views I hold, and also, you know, the things I speak about on this channel. You know, I'm fully in awareness and fully in acceptance of the fact that we're, you know, the sixth mass extinction is already happening. Of course it is. It's, you know, and that we have damaged the planet beyond, most likely our capabilities of repairing. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and do everything that we can. One of the reasons why I think that, that maybe we should live with a little bit of hopium in the face of the knowledge that we don't really have much time left. One of the reasons why is that we don't know how the Earth is going to react to climate change. We don't know what kind of negative feedbacks are going to kick in. We have no idea. We can look at models and we can extrapolate and we can look at graphs and we can say, looks like this is where we're going. And all of that is very real and all very true. But as in the case of Arctic sea ice going BOE, we should have already been BOE, right? It should have been like 3 years ago. But there was a negative feedback in the system that has allowed a certain amount of ice to stay in the Arctic. We've been bumping along on this plateau for a couple years. Will we eventually go BOE? Of course we will. But the thing is we don't know if we're going to get any kind of reprieves. You know, we don't know how long those reprieves might be. Are they going to be 2-year reprieves or 5-year reprieves or 10-year reprieves? So like, if we get some crazy negative feedback and we get 10 or 20 more years of normalcy, I doubt. But we wasted all of that time sitting around going, it's over, it's done, we're done. I mean, a lot could have been done in 5 or 10 or 20 years. Does that mean that I think that we can reverse, that we have a likely chance of reversing things? No, it does not. It means that we might have a slim, very, very slim 0.01% chance that we might turn things around. But if we even have that slim of a chance, or if we even have that slim of a window to maybe do good things in, I think that we should do that. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to keep playing this.
Not too late for virtually everything that gives life meaning. It's not too late to attend to and invest in and do whatever you can to further in yourself and others personal wholeness, social coherence, and ecological integrity. Everything you do for that, it's not too late for that. It's not too late to limit the deadliest of our toxicity. It's not too late to assist trees in migrating. My wife is actually...
I'm going to stop right there. So I agree with all of these statements. It's just not too late to take right action. It's not too late to try to do regenerative things for the planet. It's not too late to allay or stop your toxic lifestyle that is destroying the planet. All of this should be done post haste. All of this should be done immediately, as quickly as we can. Again, not with the idea in mind that we're going to save ourselves or get through the bottleneck, but with the idea in mind of just doing the right thing. As Max Sargé said, ethics, of living ethically, of raising awareness and raising ourselves, above how humanity has typically conducted themselves in the past, right? We can try and do better. We can. There's no reason why we shouldn't do that, and who knows? Who knows what will happen in the future? Again, things come out of nowhere. Nobody knows what the future will bring. This is not hopium. This is just right action, and maybe we might just stumble into some kind of lucky window in which we can mitigate our damage and or possibly save some of the wildlife still left on the planet. But let's keep going.
We want to main point people in North America on this topic of assisted migration. There was a major book that just came out in June of 2020 by Zach St. George titled The Journeys of Trees, a story about forests, people, and the future. It's published by W.W. Norton, top publisher, and it features Connie, my wife, from the very first sentence throughout the book. It's not too late to be regenerative. That is not just engage in regenerative projects, but to be regenerative in your neighborhood, your community, in your family, in your town or village or wherever.
Okay, I'm going to end it there. I just want to play a little bit of this. I really suggest everybody watch this video. It's really good. Irreversible Collapse: Accepting Reality, Avoiding Evil by Michael Dowd. Again, I don't agree with every single thing that he says, but I don't have to. I think it's all really good information. One of the things that I don't agree with is that it's not too late to change the system. I feel like we can change the system, or in small ways, maybe not in large overarching ways, but we can have small victories. There are local systems and larger systems at play. I think that we can do our part and make whatever we can make better. And some people might see that as being ridiculous or stupidly optimistic or hopium filled. And that's fine. If you want to think that, good for you. I don't agree. So I will conduct myself in a way. I will conduct myself in a way that I think is a positive way to go forward. Anyways. Blow up lamppost. We can rewild, indeed. Environmental Coffee House. We are saving some wildlife, and I read the article about 99 good things that happened last year. Nobody ever talks about the good stuff. Right. And, there are people making, making efforts to save what they can, and I think that should be supported. And I think it should be supported, and I think it should be, people should be made aware of people who are trying to do the right thing or trying to do good things. And, we still have the capabilities of being transcendent as human beings, being better than we were before, being better than humans have acted in the past. We have that capability. We have the power of self-control. Some of us, maybe not collectively, but we have that power. So, do your best, control yourself, do better, than yesterday, do better tomorrow than you did yesterday, and, go forward, at least trying. Okay. Let's move on. There's more, going back to the evidence that climate change is making things really weird. This is from December 29th, 2020. Flash floods, the warmest summer on record, and 15 tornadoes spawned in one day. Chicago's extreme weather during 2020. So this is from the Chicago Tribune. Again, more evidence that we are, we're entering a time of accelerated climate collapse, and that's just the truth. What we do with that truth, I don't know. We all have our ways. What an intense year it was in weather. What sticks out to us was that we experienced many extremes. Brett Borkert, meteorologist for the National Weather Service's Chicago office, said after conferring with colleagues, examples of this ferocity include Significant lakeshore flooding due to record high water levels in Lake Michigan. May set a record for precipitation nearly 2 weeks before the month ended, with flash floods and storms delivering a total of 9.15 inches of rain. The summer, however, was dry and hot. The warmest on record, with an average temperature nearly 5 degrees above average. August's wind-driven derecho event was declared the costliest thunderstorm in U.S. history. Did you know that happened? Did you know? The costliest thunderstorm in U.S. history, spawning 15 tornadoes in northeast Illinois. We're about to get a tornado right here. And it was historically warm, with 7 consecutive days with temperature highs in the 70s in November. In November. So they're just going through January flooding, warmth, and airplane produced what? Airplane produced snow. Whoa. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. They go through, I think they're going to go through all the months. We're not going to go through all this. February, a record high to below zero. So weather whiplash. March, more flooding and a little snow. April, a dramatic hail event. May, May, record rain and tornadoes. June, remnants of a tropical storm passed by. That did happen. July, hot start to summer and a pulse storm. August, a derecho spawns tornadoes and summer temperature record. September, smoke from western wildfires make for hazy skies. So even in Chicago, they were experiencing smoke from all the fires in the western U.S. October, a teeny tiny bit of snow. November, warm temperatures, extraordinary wind. And December, clouds block view of planets. Okay, I guess they didn't get to see all the planetary alignments there. So yeah, that happened in the city of Chicago. Moving on, we're going to continue. This year marked by coronavirus. If you missed that one. I don't think anybody did. Anyways, let's look at this story about hunting for disease X in the Congo. And this is, of course, frightening, chilling, and all very possible. They're basically talking about the idea that there could be a disease as infectious as coronavirus mixed with something as deadly as Ebola, which would really be pretty frightening. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. Showing early symptoms of hemorrhagic fever, the patient sits quietly on her bed, wrangling 2 toddlers desperate to flee the cell-like hospital room in Ngende, a remote town in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They are waiting for the results of a test for Ebola. The patient can only communicate with her relatives through a clear plastic observation window. Her identity is secret to protect her from being ostracized by the locals fearful of Ebola infection. Her children have also been tested, but for now show no symptoms. There is a vaccine and a treatment for Ebola, which have brought down the rate at which it kills. But the question at the back of everyone's mind is, what if this woman doesn't have Ebola? What if, instead, she is patient 0 of disease X, the first known infection of a new pathogen that could sweep the world as fast as COVID-19, but one that has Ebola's 50 to 90% fatality rate. Disease X is hypothetical for now, an outbreak that scientists and public health experts fear could lead to a serious disease around the world if and when it occurs, according to the WHO. X stands for unexpected. I'm just going to stop that right there. As we were talking with Jim Massa the other day, and as many story is, what would that factor be? The factor would be more than anything climate change. And maybe the second factor would be, human beings, continued destruction of the planet, encroachment on the wild, encroachment on nature. As climate change moves forward and exponentiates, we're going to see diseases coming out of permafrost. We're going to see new diseases develop in different weather conditions, climate conditions. We're going to see humans become susceptible to more diseases because of most likely ill health brought on by exposure not only to the chemicals that we are destroying the planet with, but also exposure to, again, climate change and different weather patterns that our bodies, our physiology are not capable of responding to. All of these factors are going to exacerbate the inevitable and eventual diseases that are going to break out among the human population. Ross Cobbin says, the thing under the permafrost, indeed. Poppy Davis says, we just want to address the symptoms, Kevin, not the cause. Indeed. It is an inevitability that we will be having more stranger, more deadly diseases breaking out in the future. And I'm going to go over to Rockfin for just a second. I think you guys are talking about doing a comment bomb. Oh, I think you're talking about commenting on something else. Anyways, sorry, you guys are having a conversation amongst yourselves. But yeah, whatever you want me to promote, let me know, Urban Hermit. But good to see you guys watching on Rockfin. Kevin Shanholzer is here. Urban Hermit, Poppy Davis, and others. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on Rockfin. Let's see. Where are we? Well, we got hold on tight, guys, because we got a little more to cover. And pretty cool. We got a last minute also. And it's been a long time since I read you all a way past what the fuck. This is from Michael Campy. And this is from today. This is titled, What Now? And what will she do with Thursday's rags when Monday comes around? She turned once more to Sunday's clown and cried behind the door. This is all tomorrow's parties. The crowd cheered. The leader in front in front led them. We won, we won, we won, as if they were a single entity. The revolutionaries screamed themselves hoarse. We won, we won, we won. A quiet voice in the very back asked, "What now?" Someone turned and said, "What?" The quiet man repeated himself, "What now?" The question began to circulate in the crowd. What now? The question reached the leader. What now? He stopped his cheering. He looked down at the crowd and said, "What now? We won, we won." We repeated it over and over until the masses took up the cry. We won, we won, we won. The quiet man turned and walked away. While we wait for Joe Biden to take the helm, I want to ask, what now? Is there a plan, or are we just going to go back to complacency? Are we going to say, thank God Trump is out now, we can relax, or are we going to hold Biden's feet to the fire until he screams in pain and gives us what we need? The same thing is happening on the other side of the fence as a movement to recall Governor Gavin Newsom in California picks up steam. No one involved in that group has voiced anything resembling a plan as to what they will do if Newsom is recalled. Is whoever replaces him going to do anything significantly different? Is there a clear path forward, or is someone just telling you what you want to hear? Hunter S. Thompson said in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas that, so now, less than 5 years later, you can go up on a steep hill in Las Vegas and look west, and with the right kind of eyes, you can almost see the high water mark. That place where the wave finally broke and rolled back. I think he's talking about the hippie movement or the counterculture movement of the 60s, etc. When are we going to look back in 2 years, in 5 years, if we even have 5 years? Is this our high water mark? Is our wave going to break when we realize there is no plan? Is the high water mark going to be a storm surge knocking at our door? Are we going to wake up and realize that no one is coming to save us? The question of what it will really take to stir the American people, to really get them to point where they will hit the streets and demand that the issues that concern us are addressed, has been answered. It will take one fuck of a lot. There may be communities forming that function as resilient, compassionate groupings, but I don't see them. I don't see people from various social media fronts abandoning the internet and going out to start groups of real people. There is going to be a time in the not too distant future when the bodies start washing up on the shores of our special little lives. There's going to be a time in the not too distant future when those bodies are going to be people you know. There's going to be a time in the not too distant future when one of those bodies is yours. So, what now? Good stuff from Michael Campy as always. Hope you guys enjoyed that. What now indeed? And that's also another reason why I engage in possible paths forward. Because, you know, when people want to come up with an answer to whatever it is, either a political problem or the climate change problem, there's not a lot on the other side of like, well, what's the way we go forward? What is the path that we need to do or take? Excuse me. If we were to go forward, what would be the best way forward? What would be the best path forward? Some people are answering that question, but it's not. You know, most of the answers we get are like, vote for a Green New Deal. You know, go out and vote. You know, make sure we get those Democrats in office. So, you know, a lot of the answers offered are non-answers or not helpful answers, not the best answers in the box. So we need to, you know, proffer better answers so that we can have, no, that's not the best alternative. Here's a better alternative. So you got to like go down the road and put your mind into the solution, even if you think the solution is ridiculous, or even possibly thinking about a solution or taking a path towards a solution, is ridiculous or dumb or, you know, inconsequential or irrelevant. Even if you think all that, I suggest, I support, I urge you to go down the road of a solution so that when we get to a point, if we ever get to a crossroads where somebody was like, well, crap, we got to the place where we wanted to be, but now we don't really have anything in place to fill the gap, right? We got the person in office that we wanted, and now what do? We got a brief reprieve because of a negative feedback in the climate system, so now what do? we've got everybody's attention on climate change. Now what do we do? If you don't have anything substantial as an answer to give people to, what's the answer to the question, then you're just going to get mealy, milquetoast, bullshit answers in its place, right? You're just going to get the weakest of the weak, and that's not going to be helpful. Anyways. Right, Guyo Smith, we figured out a way to destroy all but not save it. Right. So what's the flip side of living destructively? If you're living constructively, then you're constructing a better model, a better world, whatever, a better alternative to what we're doing now. Okay, so let's move on. And with that, all that being said, there are people out there trying to at least make very, even though they seem like major movements, they're making very small incremental change, trying to make small incremental changes, and completely upsetting people in the process because, oh my God, how dare you upset the apple cart? Or we don't do it like that. We haven't done it like that way before, but or you're suggesting we do it differently now? How dare you? Anyways, I hope you all watched the vote town hall last night. It was pretty good. And that vote actually happens on Sunday. Are we going to get some defectors? Are people going to actually hear the call and go like, okay, guys, sounds like a good idea. Let's try this. Is that going to happen? We've got a couple of days to push the message out there of force the vote. So please, whatever you can do, the petition is pinned to the top of my Twitter. Please go to my Twitter page and sign the petition if you haven't done so already. Retweet that tweet, or take that petition and tweet it out yourself, or tweet out anything with hashtag force the vote in order to get people's attention around this as much as possible. Retweet some of the videos that are going around. Retweet the town hall that happened last night. It happened on many channels. Let's try and get this idea out into the consciousness of the Congress people that are supposed to be working with us, as well as into the mass of humanity that might benefit from Medicare for all. Golly gee, it kind of shows you the gap between where we are and where we need to be. I mean, we can't even give people medical care or basic, needs like housing and food and medical care. And what we need to be doing is talking about living in a sustainable way with the planet, and the gulf between those two, the reality and where we should be is very large indeed. And I think a lot of people understand that. And fear not. Be depressed not, even though it's depressing. In the meantime, though, there's another fight that's going on, the $2,000 stimulus bills checks that people were fighting for. And, Democrats were taking up the charge. And then Trump came in and was like, hey, that's a good idea. And Nancy Pelosi came in and said, hey, that's a good idea. And then the House Democrats, basically said, this is a good idea. And they passed it in the House. And then it went to the Senate. And McConnell said, no, helping people is not a good idea. And guess what? The other House Democrats also said, yeah, you're right. It's not a good idea. We're going to vote against it. Oh, one of those Democrats was Kamala Harris. Oh my God. She's so progressive. Oh yeah. Anyways, this is from Politico. McConnell and GOP reject House's $2,000 stimulus checks. For whatever blah-blah-blue reasons, Mitch McConnell. So they finished off any imminent chance of approving $2,000 stimulus checks on Wednesday, ending a push from President Donald Trump. So there was an actual coalition between Donald Trump and Democratic leaders. Donald Trump was like, hey, no, I want $2,000 checks. Democratic leaders, at least in the House, were like, oh yeah, that's right. We wanted that too. Oh, okay, let's all push for this together. A weird coalition, if you will, but Democrats actually approved most of Trump's judicial appointments, so there's that too. Senate Majority Leader said he would not detach the 2,000 checks supported by Donald Trump from other matters demanded by the president. Okay. So that happened. We're going to go a little further into this story. It's funny because Bernie Sanders supported this, Democrats supported this. The American people really want this and need this, so they all support this too. They called it Trump's checks in Huffington Post. I wonder why, right? Because some people might be like, I don't want no Trump. I don't want no check from Trump, even though my neighbors might be starving, even though my neighbors might be in food lines, even though some of my friends and family that I have might be getting evicted soon. I don't want any check from Trump. Anyways, calling it Trump's checks, 2,000 checks all but dead. I'm sure in a way to get they said that so that people would read that and go, Trump, stupid. Skirting the idea that actually all Americans really want these checks and need these checks and would like to see these checks go out. All but the psychopathic few. From Peter Kalmus, retweeting, rightly so, this from the Washington Post. The richest man in the world owns this paper, right? Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. Headline from the Washington Post: Why increasing the stimulus check from $600 to $2,000 is a bad idea. So it's a bad idea according to someone. It's just a bad idea, Like we said, it was a bad idea. Let me see. An overwhelmingly majority of Americans think this is a damn good idea and really need this and would like to see this happen. But they're doing everything in their power to tell you it's a bad idea. This Trump is a stupid jerk trying to give people money. From Professor Zenkis. Kamala Harris just voted to kill our $2,000 checks. And yes, she did. Thanks, progressives or whatever. Thanks, Democrats. She and the Democratic leadership are enemies of the working class. It is time to bring down the Democrats. This is from David Sirota from the Daily Poster. Senate Democrats motion to concede on $2,000 checks. So it wasn't just Mitch McConnell and those bad old Republicans, those mean old bad old Republicans. If you're not in awareness that we have a one-party system, that's just two sides of the same party, which is the oligarch party. If you're not in awareness that a lot of Democrats don't give two shits about you, they're not your friends. I don't know. Yes, Republicans suck. Yes. But to just do this whole those mean old bad old Republicans is not the whole story. It's not the whole story. You have to know the whole story. You have to know that you're not just fighting the Republicans, you're fighting Democrats that don't care about you too. So how are you going to do that? Again, a lot of people would answer, "Oh, how do we fix these problems?" "Oh, just vote blue." Yeah, okay. So you got to think through a better answer than that. It was always a possibility that Democrats would get too scared to halt a major Pentagon bill in order to help millions of Americans get $2,000 survival checks. In fact, as we wrote earlier this week, it was very likely that they would back down the moment any bad faith critic so much as waved a flag and said, "Support the troops." Right? So remember, these stimulus checks were more than the raise that the military was going to get. That was in this bill, but that was being used as one of the reasons. Trump is going to veto this bill that helps pay the soldiers more money. Okay. But leaves all other Americans out of the money, right? And what they were going to get as a pay bump was not even going to equal $2,000. And capitulation became even more likely when Clinton-era Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, corporate Democratic pundits and billionaire-owned elite media outlets began parroting a series of eerily similar let-them-eat-cake talking points against the survival checks, which McConnell promptly used to bludgeon proponents of the bipartisan initiative. Why these $2,000 checks are a bad idea. But even appreciating all of this and also knowing that many Democratic leaders still cling to an outdated austerity ideology, the sheer scale of Wednesday's Democratic surrender was truly a sight to behold. And it probably ended the chance for more immediate aid to millions of Americans facing eviction, starvation, and bankruptcy. The day began with Senator Bernie Sanders following through on his promise to deny unanimous consent for the Senate to advance a $740 billion defense authorization bill. Plenty of money for that. Plenty of money for that. Until Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell allows an up or down vote on legislation that would send $2,000 survival checks to individuals making less than $75,000 and couples making less than $150,000. Sanders' move forced McConnell to ask the Senate to pass a formal motion to proceed on the defense bill, which would let Republicans move forward on the Pentagon priority without a vote on the $2,000 checks. The motion created the moment in which Democrats could have stood their ground and cornered the GOP leader. Instead, as Republicans saber-rattled about the need to pass the defense bill, 41 Democrats obediently voted with McConnell. 41. 41. A vast majority of the Democrats in the Senate, allowing him to move the defense bill forward without a vote on the checks. That included yes votes from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, the lead sponsor on a bill to give Americans monthly $2,000 checks during the pandemic. One day before her vote to help McConnell, Harris had called on a Republican leader to hold a vote on her legislation. Yeah, she was like, how about my bill? How about my bill? How about my bill? That's all she had to say was, how about my bill? Only 6 members of the Senate Democratic caucus mustered the courage to vote against McConnell's maneuver. So this was just posturing by Kamala Harris, by the way. 6 members of the Democratic caucus mustered the courage to vote against McConnell's maneuver. Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Chris Van Hollen, Jeff Merkley, Ed Markey, and Ron Wyden. Democratic senators, in fact, provided the majority of the votes for the measure. Whoa. Because other people were sick. There were Republicans that were out sick. So they actually, can you believe this? They provided the majority of the votes for the measure that lets the defense bill proceed without a vote on the $2,000 checks. It was called a motion to proceed, but it really was a motion demanding Democrats concede, and they instantly obliged. Vote blue, guys. Vote blue. Vote blue. Vote blue in the face. Vote blue in the face. Yeah. Good job. All right, guys. I have just about run out of time. I do have more things to talk about, but I'm going to leave it there. Please support the Force the Vote initiative. If you're of the mind to. Jacob Gordon, vote green. Vote green, vote something, vote anything, but the red and the blue, the red and the blue. Osama, January 6th, see you in D.C. Yes. You're talking about the Assange. You're talking about the Assange vigil. You will be there for that? Yes, Osama, Twitter is shadow banning like never before. A disgrace that our weak and ineffective political leadership refuses to do anything about big tech, They're either afraid or stupid. Nobody really knows. You're right. Well, interestingly, Osama, there was another fight around this bill that had to do with tech companies being shielded. What is it? What is it called? 230, Section 230. And actually, Trump bought that up. But yeah, the tech companies need to be broken up, and they need to be held accountable for what they're doing. Also, the Georgia Senate runoff is on Tuesday, this Tuesday, right? On the 5th. Anybody involved, interested in doing any kind of support around that, that's when it is. Thank you, Raza, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Kevin has been regular, reliable, right on, and responsible this year. Thank you. I expect he will do the same next year. I know his followers appreciate him. Thank you, Raza. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you for being here every day on this live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. All right, guys. People of Rockfin, citizens of Rockfin, I will talk to you all later. Thanks for hanging out with me on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. And I will be back. I think I'm going to be back. I'll be here tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a New Year's Day broadcast. We will continue the conversation tomorrow. Thank you so much. Until next time, peace.